They know we're here. We can't stay out in the storm. We have to get inside now. Come on.
Her water delivery during the storm wasn't work, it was a carefully set trap. Rain hammered the windshield like fists of an angry god, blurring the narrow road that snaked through the fog-shrouded pines of coastal Maine. Alex gripped the steering wheel of her battered Ford pickup, knuckles white against the worn leather, the wipers slapping back and forth in a frantic rhythm that did little to clear the deluge. Thunder cracked overhead, a deep rumble that vibrated through her chest, making her heart stutter. It was just past dawn on that cursed October morning, the kind of storm that swallowed small towns whole, turning the world into a gray smear of chaos. But Alex didn't turn back. She never did. The radio crackled faintly, some old country tune about lost love and backroads, but she snapped it off with a curse under her breath. Love? What a joke. Her life was deliveries and debts, hauling cases of bottled water to folks too stubborn or too scared to stock up before the nor'easter hit. $30 for a run like this? It barely covered the gas, let alone the knot of dread twisting in her gut. The order had come in late last night, anonymous through the app, 20 cases to a rambling Victorian on Elm Street, the address scratched into her memory like a scar. She knew that house. Knew it too damn well. A flash of lightning illuminated the road ahead, and for a split second, Alex saw her own reflection in the rearview. Dark circles under hazel eyes, short-cropped hair plastered to her forehead, jaw set in that stubborn line her exes always hated. 28 years old, and what did she have? A beat-up truck, a one-room apartment above the hardware store, and a heart she'd patched together with duct tape after Jordan walked out 3 years ago. Jordan. The name alone tasted like salt and regret on her tongue. Why now? Why this storm? The truck fishtailed on a slick curve, tires hydroplaning over fallen leaves turned to mush. Alex corrected hard, tires screeching, pulse thundering in her ears. Come on, you piece of shit, she muttered, coaxing the engine with a gentle foot on the gas. The heater blasted lukewarm air that smelled faintly of pine air freshener and yesterday's coffee spill, doing nothing to chase the chill seeping into her bones. She wiped a hand across her damp jeans, cargo pants, practical for the job, pockets stuffed with tools and regrets, and glanced at the passenger seat, where the first few cases rattled in their straps. Elm Street loomed up like a ghost from the mist, the grand old houses hunched against the gale, their gingerbread trim peeling like old skin. Number 47 sat at the end, its turret piercing the sky, windows glowing faintly yellow against the black. Alex's breath caught, a sharp inhale that burned her throat. She killed the engine, rain drumming on the roof like impatient fingers. Grabbing her rain slicker from the hook, yellow faded, smelling of rubber and rain, she shrugged it on, the hood swallowing her face. One last look in the mirror. Eyes fierce, lips pressed thin. Just a job, she whispered to herself, the words hollow even as they left her mouth. She hopped out, boots splashing into puddles that reached her ankles, cold water soaking through instantly. The wind whipped at her legs, howling through the trees like a warning she ignored. Case by case she hauled them from the truck bed, muscles straining under the weight, rain stinging her exposed skin like needles. By the third trip her arms burned, breath coming in ragged gasps that fogged the air. The porch light flickered on as she approached, casting long shadows that danced like specters. The door creaked open before she could knock, and there she was. Jordan. God, Jordan. 32 now, but time had only sharpened her edges, high cheekbones flushed from the chill, auburn hair tied back in a loose ponytail that let wet strands frame her face, green eyes locking onto Alex's with an intensity that pinned her in place. She wore a simple gray hoodie and jeans, barefoot on the threshold, arms crossed like a barrier. But her gaze. It cracked something open in Alex, a fissure she'd thought sealed. Alex, Jordan said, voice barely above the storm's roar, but it sliced through clean as a knife. There was no surprise in it, no warmth, just a quiet command, laced with something darker. Hunger? Hurt? The rain pattered between them, a curtain neither crossed. Alex set the case down with a thud, water sluicing off her slicker in rivers. You ordered water. 20 cases. That's $400. Her words came out clipped, defensive, the way they always did when vulnerability crept too close. She straightened, wiping rain from her brow, tasting it on her lips, briny like tears. Jordan's lips twitched, not quite a smile. I know. Come in. You'll drown out here. She stepped aside, the gesture casual, but her eyes never left Alex's face, tracing the lines exhaustion had etched there. Hesitation gripped Alex like the cold, every instinct screaming to grab the cash and bolt. But the storm raged on, lightning forking the sky, and damn if Jordan's voice didn't pull at her like the tide. With a sigh that rattled her chest, Alex nodded, grabbing the last case and stepping over the threshold. The door clicked shut behind her, muffling the world outside to a dull roar. Inside, the air was warm, heavy with the scent of fresh coffee and old books. Jordan's bookstore smell, clinging to everything like a memory. The foyer was as she remembered. Polished oak floors scuffed from years of footsteps, a grandfather clock ticking solemnly in the corner, its pendulum swinging like a heartbeat. Alex's boots left muddy prints, and she winced, shifting the case awkwardly. Where do you want these? Jordan pointed down the hall, toward the kitchen, but she didn't move to help. Instead, she leaned against the wall, watching. You look good, she said softly, the words landing like embers on dry tinder. Tired but good. Alex barked a laugh, short and bitter, echoing off the high ceilings. Flattery won't get you a discount. She brushed past, shoulders tense, the nearness of Jordan sending sparks up her spine. Familiar, forbidden. The kitchen was a haven of copper pots and herb bundles drying by the window, rain lashing the panes like jealous lovers. She stacked the cases on the tile floor, the plastic crinkling under her fingers, each thud a punctuation to the silence stretching between them. When she turned, Jordan was closer, too close, arms uncrossed now, hands fidgeting with the hem of her hoodie. The air hummed with unspoken words, thick as the humidity pressing against the glass. Why'd you do it? Alex finally burst out, voice cracking on the edge of a shout. Order from me of all people? In this shitstorm? There are a dozen drivers closer. Jordan's eyes dropped, lashes dark against her cheeks, and when she looked up, there was a storm of her own brewing, green depths swirling with regret and resolve. Because I needed to see you. Before it's too late. The words hung there, heavy as the rain outside, and Alex felt the floor tilt beneath her. Too late for what? Her mind raced. Flashes of their last night together, tangled sheets and whispered promises shattered by dawn, Jordan's suitcase by the door, her voice cold as she said, I can't do this anymore. The betrayal still stung, a phantom ache in her ribs. But here in this house that held their ghosts, Alex saw the fracture in Jordan's armor. The slight tremor in her hands, the way her breath hitched like she was fighting back a sob. Thunder boomed, shaking the windows, and Alex stepped back, bumping the counter, a mug clattering to the floor and shattering. Porcelain shards scattered like broken dreams, white against the dark tile. Shit, she whispered, dropping to her knees to gather them, fingers bleeding from a jagged edge she didn't feel. Blood welled, mixing with the mud, but it was nothing compared to the wound reopening in her chest. Jordan knelt too fast, her hand covering Alex's, warm, steady, the touch electric. Let me. Her voice was a murmur, breath ghosting Alex's skin, carrying the faint mint of toothpaste and the deeper note of fear. Time stretched, the storm fading to a distant hum, until it was just them. Two women on a kitchen floor, hands entwined over shards of what was. You set this up, Alex accused, voice raw, pulling away but not far enough. The delivery. The storm. A trap. Jordan nodded, unashamed, tears carving clean paths down her rain-damp cheeks. Yes. Because running out of water wasn't the only thing I was out of. I was out of you. The admission cracked the dam. Alex surged forward, crashing their mouths together in a kiss born of fury and famine. Teeth clashing, tongues desperate, tasting salt and storm. Jordan gasped into it, fingers threading through Alex's wet hair, pulling her closer until there was no space left for doubt. The world outside howled, but inside it was just this. Heat and heartbeat. The slick slide of lips and the soft moan that escaped Jordan's throat, vibrating against Alex's own. They broke apart gasping, foreheads pressed, breaths mingling in the scant air between. Alex's hands framed Jordan's face, thumbs brushing away tears, her own eyes burning. "What the hell are we doing?" she whispered, the question a plea. Jordan's laugh was watery, broken. "Surviving. Together." But even as she said it, her gaze flickered to the window, where the storm clouds boiled darker, lightning etching veins across the sky. There was more here, Alex sensed it. A shadow lurking beneath the reunion. Something Jordan wasn't saying. The trap wasn't just for her heart. It was for something deeper, something that could drown them both. As the wind screamed, rattling the house like bones, Alex pulled Jordan to her feet, their bodies aligning in that old perfect fit. The blood from her cut smeared between them, a red thread binding. "Tell me everything," she demanded, voice steady now, laced with the steel she'd forged in the years apart. "No more games." Jordan hesitated, lips parting on a sigh that carried the weight of secrets. The clock in the hall struck 7, its chime muffled by thunder, marking the hour when truths would spill like the rain. And as the power flickered, plunging the kitchen into twilight gloom, Jordan began to speak, of letters hidden in books, of a diagnosis whispered in sterile rooms, of a love she'd never stopped chasing, even as the storm closed in to claim them. The kitchen light buzzed back to life with a reluctant hum, casting harsh shadows that danced across Jordan's face like accusations. Alex stood frozen, her hand still in Jordan's, the warmth of it a lifeline amid the chill seeping through the cracks in the old house. The words hung between them. Stage 3. 6 months maybe. I didn't want pity. Each syllable a thunderclap in the quiet. Jordan's voice had cracked on the last, her green eyes pleading, searching Alex's for judgment or absolution. Outside, the storm laughed at their fragility, rain sheeting the windows in relentless waves. Alex's throat tightened, a lump she couldn't swallow, tasting of bile and betrayal. 6 months. The number echoed in her skull, mocking the years they'd wasted apart. She'd imagined their reunion 100 ways in lonely nights. Angry shouts, tearful apologies, maybe a slow rebuild over bad coffee and boardwalks. Not this. Not Jordan, fierce and unyielding Jordan, felled by something invisible, cruel as the nor'easter clawing at the eaves. "Why me?" Alex finally managed, her voice a rasp, pulling her hand free to rake through her hair, fingers tangling in the damp strands. The cut on her palm throbbed now, a dull pulse syncing with her heartbeat. She paced the kitchen, boots scuffing the tile, the scent of spilled coffee grounds rising sharp and bitter from the mug's remnants. "After everything, after you left without a word, tore out my goddamn heart, why drag me back into this?" Jordan leaned against the counter, arms wrapping around herself as if to hold the pieces together. Her hoodie sleeve rode up, revealing the faint bracelet of bruises on her wrist. "For marks," Alex realized with a gut punch. "Because you're the only one who ever saw me," she said simply, the words raw, stripped bare. "Not the bookstore girl with the perfect life, the one who had it all figured out. You saw the mess. The girl who cried during thunderstorms because they reminded her of home falling apart." A ghost of a smile touched her lips, sad and sweet. "And I was too scared then, Alex. Scared of needing someone that much." Thunder rolled low, a growl that vibrated the floorboards, and Alex stopped pacing, facing her. The air between them crackled, charged like the sky outside. History and hurt, longing and loss all tangled in the humidity. She wanted to rage, to shake Jordan until the truth shook loose, but instead, she closed the distance, cupping Jordan's jaw with blood-streaked fingers. "Scared? You think I wasn't?" Waking up to an empty bed. Your note on the fridge like some shitty Hallmark rejection. "I love you, but not enough." What the fuck was that? Jordan winced, eyes squeezing shut, a single tear escaping to trace the curve of her cheek. The drop caught the light, shimmering like a diamond before falling to her collarbone. "I lied," she whispered, opening her eyes to meet Alex's, green fire meeting hazel storm. "I loved you too much. Terrified me. My mom. She died like this, you know. Breast cancer." Watching her fade, pretending she was fine until she wasn't. "I couldn't let you see me break." The confession landed like a slap, stealing Alex's breath. She knew the stories in fragments, Jordan's childhood in that clapboard house down the coast, her mother's laugh echoing over lobster pots, gone too soon. But never the full weight, the shadow it cast. Alex's chest ached, a deep hollow throb, and she pulled Jordan into her arms without thinking. The embrace fierce, bodies molding like they remembered every curve and hollow. Jordan's head tucked under her chin, auburn hair tickling Alex's neck, her scent, lavender soap and rain, flooding back memories in a rush. Lazy Sundays in this very kitchen, pancakes burning while they kissed against the stove, laughter bubbling like the coffee pot. Jordan's arms banded around Alex's waist, fingers digging in as if afraid she'd vanish. A sob escaped her, muffled against Alex's slicker, the sound wrenching, wet and wild, carrying 3 years of silence. Alex held tighter, one hand stroking Jordan's back in slow circles, feeling the knobs of her spine too prominent under the fabric, the fragility she'd missed. "I'm here now," Alex murmured into her hair, the words tasting foreign, vulnerable. Rain pattered the window above the sink, a soft counterpoint to Jordan's ragged breaths. The world narrowing to this. 2 hearts hammering in sync, the faint tick of the clock marking seconds they couldn't afford to lose. They stayed like that until the storm's fury ebbed to a steady drum, Jordan's sobs easing into shuddery sighs. When she pulled back, her eyes were red-rimmed but clear, a determination hardening her jaw. "I didn't call you here just to unload," she said, wiping her face with the back of her hand, smearing mascara like war paint. "There's a plan. Or was. Before I chickened out on telling you." Alex arched a brow, skepticism warring with the tenderness still coiling in her gut. "A plan? In a hurricane? Spill it, Jordan. I'm soaked, bleeding, and way past caffeinated." Jordan's laugh was small, genuine, cracking the tension like sunlight through clouds. She moved to the counter, pouring 2 mugs from the pot, steam curling up, rich and grounding. Handing one over, their fingers brushed, lingering a beat too long, sparks jumping. "Sit," she commanded softly, nodding to the scarred oak table where they'd shared their first real date. "Take out Chinese, scattering fortune cookies like prophecies." Alex obeyed, the chair creaking under her weight, the hot ceramic warming her palms as she sipped. Black, 2 sugars, just how she liked it. Jordan knew. Of course she did. Across the table, Jordan settled, legs tucked under her, the storm's gray light filtering through lace curtains to paint her in soft edges. "The trap," she began, voice steadying, "wasn't just for you. It's for us. Or what we could be if we stop running." Alex set the mug down harder than intended, ceramic clinking. "Trap implies force. I drove here, yeah, but you could have picked up the phone anytime." Jordan leaned forward, elbows on the table, intensity sharpening her features. "And you'd answer? After I ghosted you?" "No. This storm, it's a deadline. Power's out half the town already, roads flooding. No one's coming or going till it passes. We're stuck here, Alex. No distractions, no excuses. Just you, me, and whatever's left between us." The words sank in, heavy as the water cases stacked by the door, and Alex felt a reluctant pull. Anger mingling with hope, like oil and water refusing to separate. Outside, a branch snapped against the house, wood groaning, wind whistling through eaves like a siren's call. The power flickered again, bulbs humming ominously, and in that stutter of light, Alex saw the truth. Jordan wasn't the villain here. She was the bait, dangling herself in the gale to lure back what she'd lost. "Fine," Alex said at last, the word a concession laced with the grit of resolve. "We're trapped. Now what? You gonna make me unpack your baggage while the roof caves in?" Jordan's gaze softened, a spark of the old fire igniting. "First we eat. Then we talk. Really talk. About the letters I wrote but never sent. The nights I drove by your apartment too chicken to knock. And yeah, about the future, if there's one worth fighting for." Alex nodded, the steam from her coffee rising like ghosts between them. The storm outside built to a crescendo, waves crashing audible now from the distant shore, a roar that drowned the world. But here, in the heart of the house, with Jordan's foot nudging hers under the table, accidental? Intentional? A fragile peace settled. They rose together, moving to the pantry in tandem, hands brushing shelves stocked with canned goods and candle stubs. Jordan pulled out bread and peanut butter, the jar's lid popping with a satisfying smack, the nutty aroma cutting through the damp. As they smeared it on slices, elbows bumping in the close space, laughter bubbled up, nervous, real, over a shared memory of a picnic gone wrong. Ants invading their blanket. The simple act grounded them, fingers sticky, crumbs scattering like confetti. But beneath it, tension simmered. Jordan's occasional wince as she reached high, the way her hand trembled passing the knife. Alex noticed, said nothing but filed it away, a quiet vow forming in her chest. By the time they sat again, plates cleared. The sky had darkened to bruised purple, lightning forking silent now, the thunder lagging behind. Jordan cleared her throat, vulnerability etching lines around her mouth. "There's more," she admitted, voice dropping. "The cancer. It's why I came back to this house. Mom's will, the bookstore, ties I couldn't cut. But selling it? Starting over? I can't do it alone." Alex's fork paused mid-air, the last bite of sandwich forgotten. Alone. The word echoed her own fears, the empty truck cab waiting outside, the life she'd built on solitude. "And if I say yes?" she challenged, heart pounding a war drum. "What then? You think 6 months erases 3 years?" Jordan's eyes met hers, unflinching. "No, but it could start something new. Something fierce." The power died then, plunging them into velvet dark, the only light the flash of lightning etching their faces in silver. In that instant, Alex reached across, finding Jordan's hand in the gloom, lacing fingers tight. The storm held approval or warning, hard to tell, but for the first time in years Alex didn't care. She leaned in, kissing Jordan slow, deliberate, tasting peanut butter and promise. The world could flood. They'd build an ark from whatever came next. Darkness wrapped the kitchen like a shroud, thick and absolute, broken only by the erratic pulse of lightning that painted fleeting portraits on the walls. Alex's lips lingered on Jordan's, the kiss deepening in the blackout's anonymity. Soft explorations turning urgent, hands roaming with the familiarity of muscle memory. Jordan's fingers traced the line of Alex's jaw, thumb brushing the stubble she'd always teased her about. A touch that sent shivers racing down Alex's spine despite the humid air. When they parted, breaths ragged, the silence pressed in, intimate and immense, the storm's fury a distant underscore to their shared exhales. "Jesus," Alex murmured, forehead resting against Jordan's, the word half laugh, half prayer. Her heart jackhammered, a wild thing caged too long, and she could feel Jordan's matching it, chests rising and falling in sync. The scent of them mingled, rain on skin, peanut butter sweetness, the faint metallic tang of Alex's bloodied palm, grounding the surreal in something achingly real. Outside, wind keen through the pines, branches scraping the house like nails on chalkboard, a reminder that the world hadn't paused for their fragile truce. Jordan shifted, pulling back just enough to fumble in a drawer, the scrape of wood on wood loud in the hush. A match flared, sulfur sharp in Alex's nostrils, illuminating Jordan's face in golden flicker, as she lit a stubby candle. Wax dripped, pooling on the saucer like tears, the flame dancing shadows across her features. High cheekbones hollowed, eyes reflecting firelight like emeralds. "Better?" she asked, voice husky, holding the light between them like an offering. Alex nodded, taking in the details the dark had hidden. The new scar above Jordan's eyebrow, thin and silvery. The way her hoodie hung looser on her frame, bones sharper under the fabric. Guilt twisted in Alex's gut, sharp as the cut on her hand. For the time lost, the signs she'd missed if she'd only looked. "Yeah, lights out suits the drama though. Like one of those noir flicks you love." Jordan's smile was wry, setting the candle down with a soft clink. Strangers on a storm-swept night, unraveling secrets over candlelight. Except we're not strangers. She reached for Alex's injured hand, turning it palm up, the gash stark in the warm glow. With gentle fingers she probed, drawing a hiss from Alex. "This needs cleaning. Hold still." The sink ran cold at first, sputtering protest before warming, water splashing into the basin like applause. Jordan tore a strip from a dish towel, soft cotton smelling of lemon detergent, and dabbed at the wound, her touch clinical yet tender, breath steady against Alex's arm. Alex watched, mesmerized by the concentration furrowing Jordan's brow. the way her lips pursed in focus. It was domestic, this care. Echoing mornings long past, when hangovers were cured with ice packs and sarcasm. But now it carried weight, each press of cloth a stitch in the unraveling tapestry of them. "There," Jordan said, tying a makeshift bandage with efficient knots, her sailor's hand sure despite the tremble Alex felt. She didn't release the hand, instead tracing the lifeline in Alex's palm with a fingertip, light as a whisper. "You always were too reckless, charging into storms like they owed you something." Alex snorted, flexing her fingers around Jordan's, "The pressure a anchor. Says the woman who lured me here with a fake delivery. Reckless is our brand." Humor bridged the ache, but it cracked when thunder boomed close, shaking the table, candle flame guttering wildly. Glasses rattled in the cabinet, a low chime that set Alex's teeth on edge. Jordan's grip tightened, her free hand covering the bandaged one, sandwiching it in warmth. In the candle's sway, her eyes were luminous, vulnerability bared. "I meant it, you know. About the letters." She nodded toward the hall, where stairs creaked under invisible weight. "Upstairs. In the desk. I wrote one every month after I left. Never mailed them. Too raw." Curiosity pricked Alex, mingled with dread. Like peeking into a wound still suppurating. "Read me one," she said, impulsive, the words out before caution could clamp her lips. The storm outside shifted, rain easing to a patter, wind's howl softening to a moan as if eavesdropping. Jordan hesitated, biting her lip. A habit Alex remembered from arguments that ended in make-up sex, fierce and forgetting. "Now? In the dark." "Now," Alex confirmed, standing, pulling Jordan up with her. The candle stayed its light a beacon as they navigated the hall, floorboards groaning underfoot, portraits on the walls, stern ancestors with unyielding stares, watching their progress. The stairs were a steeper climb in blackout, each step a memory minefield. The creak of the third tread where they'd stumbled drunk one night, laughing till breathless, the landing where first "I love you" had tumbled out, clumsy and true. Jordan's bedroom door stuck, swelling from the damp, and she shouldered it open with a grunt, the hinges sighing in relief. The room unfolded in candleless shadow, but Alex knew it by heart. Four-poster bed with its sagging mattress, books stacked on every surface like fortifications, the window overlooking the churning sea. Jordan lit another candle on the nightstand, bergamot scent blooming, citrus cutting the musty air, and crossed to the antique desk by the dormer, drawers whispering open. She withdrew a bundle rubber-banded, envelopes yellowed at edges, handwriting slanted and urgent. Jordan's script all loops and leans. Selecting one at random, dated 6 months post-breakup, she sank onto the bed's edge, patting the space beside her. Alex joined, the mattress dipping, their thighs pressing in the close quarters. The flame nearby licked higher, wax plinking onto the saucer, and Jordan unfolded the paper with reverent hands, clearing her throat. "Dear Alex," she began, voice soft, threading the dark. "Today I sold that stupid vase you hated, the one from my aunt, all frilly and wrong for the shelf. $50, and it felt like unloading a piece of us. But the hole it left? Wider than before. I drive by the docks now, watch the ferries cut through fog. Wonder if you're hauling crates in the rain. Cursing the weather like it personally offends you. God, I miss that laugh, the one that starts low and builds till it shakes you whole. I miss you. Forgive me for not saying it then." The words washed over Alex, ink fresh in her mind's eye, each one a hook tugging at scars. She pictured Jordan at this desk, pen scratching by lamplight, tears blurring the page, the sea's murmur mocking her solitude. A lump rose, hot and insistent, and Alex blinked hard, focusing on the candle's steady burn, the way it mirrored Jordan's resolve, flickering but unquenched. "Keep going," she urged, voice thick, leaning into Jordan's shoulder, the wool of her hoodie rough against her cheek. The storm punctuated the reading, gusts rattling panes, rain tapping like impatient fingers. Jordan continued, letter after letter, fragments of a life unshared. The job she quit because it echoed too much of Alex's shifts, the woman she dated briefly, kind but colorless, a pale shadow that drove her back to solitude. The diagnosis scrawled in frantic script. "I wish I could call you, Hear your voice say it'll be okay, even if it's a lie. Each revelation peeled back layers, exposing the raw underbelly of absence. The love that hadn't faded but fermented, turning sharp and potent. By the fourth letter, Jordan's voice wavered, the paper trembling in her hands. Alex took it gently, reading aloud herself. Your hands, Alex. Rough from work, but they held me like I was glass. I dream of them still, tracing paths I can't follow anymore. The words choked her, vision blurring, and she set the letter aside, turning to Jordan in the half-light. Their faces inches apart, breaths mingling, mint and bergamot, storm and salt. I should have fought harder, Alex confessed, the admission bursting free, her hand finding Jordan's nape, thumb stroking the soft skin there. Called. Showed up. Instead I built walls. Thought it was strength. Jordan's eyes shimmered, reflecting the flame. We both did. She closed the gap. Kissed tentative at first, seeking permission. Alex granted it, deepening the press, tongues tangling slow and sorrowful, tasting ink and saltwater tears. Hands wandered. Alex is under the hoodie, palm flat against Jordan's ribs, feeling the rapid flutter of her heart. Too fast, too fragile. Jordan's fingers knotted in Alex's shirt, pulling her down onto the bed, the sheets cool and crisp, smelling of lavender from the drawer. They moved with deliberation, unhurried in the blackout's embrace. Clothes shed in whispers of fabric, skin meeting skin in reverent exploration. Alex traced the map of Jordan's body, committing to memory the new contours, the dip of collarbone sharper, the curve of hip less yielding. Jordan arched under her touch, gasps punctuating the quiet, soft OS and hitched breaths that coiled tension low in Alex's belly. Lightning flashed, etching their forms in stark relief. Limbs entwined, heads thrown back, a tableau of reclamation. Climax built like the storm's earlier rage. Title inevitable. Waves crashing in shared shutters, cries muffled into shoulders, nails digging crescents into backs. After they lay tangled, sweat slick and spent, the candle guttering low, wax nearly spent. Jordan's head on Alex's chest, listening to the steady thump beneath her ear. A rhythm she'd feared lost. Stay, she whispered, fingers tracing idle patterns on Alex's abdomen, the plea raw as the rain's dying patter. Alex pressed lips to Jordan's temple, tasting salt. Till the storm breaks. But even as she said it, doubt flickered. Roads would clear, life resume. The illness a shadow lengthening. The wind sighed outside, trees creaking like old bones, and in the quiet Alex vowed silently. Not just till dawn but through it. Whatever it became. Dawn crept in reluctant, a thin gray smear bleeding through the curtains, turning the bedroom from inky void to muted watercolor. Alex stirred first, body heavy with the languor of reconnection. Jordan's weight a warm anchor across her waist, arm draped possessively, leg hooked over hers, breaths deep and even in sleep. The storm had retreated overnight, leaving a hush broken only by the drip-drip from eaves and the distant cry of gulls wheeling over sodden shores. Alex lay still, unwilling to shatter the spell, her fingers idly combing through Jordan's auburn tangles, the strands silk-soft despite the humidity clinging to everything. Memories replayed in the half-light. The letters, confessions, the desperate tangle of limbs, Jordan's moans like music she'd forgotten the tune to. But joy soured with the undercurrent of truth. Cancer. The thief in their midst stealing time before they'd reclaimed it. Alex's chest tightened, a vice of fear she masked with a soft kiss to Jordan's forehead, inhaling the sleep-warm scent of her skin. Musk and lavender home. Jordan murmured something incoherent, nuzzling closer, and Alex's heart clenched, fierce protectiveness surging. Whatever came, she'd face it head-on, no more running. The bedside clock, battery-powered, blinked 6:47, its red digits accusatory in the gloom. Coffee. She needed coffee, something normal to ground the surreal. Extricating gently, Alex slipped from the bed, toes curling against cool hardwood, the floor littered with discarded clothes, jeans in a heap, hoodie slung over the chair like a flag of surrender. She tugged on her cargos in Jordan's hoodie, too big but comforting, the sleeves swallowing her hands, and padded downstairs, each step a negotiation with protesting muscles. The kitchen greeted her with disarray. Candle stubs hardened in wax pools, the broken mug swept half-heartedly into a corner, water cases still stacked like unspoken accusations. Rain had pooled on the sill, a puddle reflecting the overcast sky, and Alex mopped it with a towel, the cloth sopping heavy. The power hummed back sporadically, fridge kicking on with a groan, but she bypassed it for the percolator, old school, the kind that gurgled like a storyteller. Ground scooped, water poured, the rich aroma bloomed as it brewed, chasing the night's chill. She poured 2 mugs, steam curling like question marks, and added sugar to hers, stirring with a clink that echoed too loud. Leaning against the counter, sipping scalding black, Alex gazed out the window. The yard a wreckage of downed limbs and puddles mirroring clouds, the sea beyond a restless slate-gray churn. Maine in autumn, beautiful, brutal. Like them. A creak on the stairs pulled her gaze, and there was Jordan, wrapped in a quilt like a toga, hair a wild halo, eyes sleepy but soft. "Morning," Jordan said, voice gravelly from disuse, padding over barefoot, the quilt trailing like a train. She accepted the mug with a grateful hum, sipping before leaning into Alex's side, head on shoulder. The contact was easy, unforced, as if the years hadn't gaped between. "You make coffee like a pro, even in apocalypse mode." Alex chuckled low, arms slipping around Jordan's waist, hands splaying over the quilt's nubby weave. Years of dawn shifts. Nothing teaches efficiency like tourists demanding Fiji water at 5 a.m. The humor faded quick, reality intruding like the chill draft from the back door. "How are you feeling?" "After everything." Jordan tensed fractionally, then relaxed, setting her mug down to face Alex fully, quilt slipping to pool at her feet. She wore an oversized tee, Alex's old band shirt, pilfered from the closet, hanging to mid-thigh, legs bare and goose-pimpled. "Honest? Like I ran a marathon in heels. But good. You." Her hand rose, tracing Alex's bandaged palm, concern etching her brow. "Sore. But alive." Alex captured the hand, pressing a kiss to the knuckles, lingering on the faint freckles she used to count like stars. The moment stretched, tender, until Jordan's stomach growled audibly, shattering it with comic timing. They both laughed, the sound bright in the dim kitchen, chasing shadows. "Bacon," Jordan proposed, already rummaging the fridge, the door's light haloing her like a saint. "Mom's cast-iron skillet. Greasy, glorious salvation." Alex nodded, fetching the pan from its hook, seasoned black, heavy as memory, while Jordan laid strips in, the sizzle erupting like fireworks, fat popping, the savory smoke filling the air. They worked in sync, unspoken choreography. Alex cracking eggs into a bowl, whisking with vigor that splashed yolk on the counter, Jordan flipping bacon with tongs, grease spitting like warnings. Toast popped golden, butter melting in pools, and they ate at the table, knees bumping under it, the normalcy a bomb. But talk turned inevitable, heavy as the humid air. "The bookstore." Alex ventured around a mouthful, the bread crunching crisp. "You said selling it. Why now?" Jordan chewed thoughtfully, green eyes distant, gazing at the rain-streaked window where droplets raced like tears. "It's part of the plan. Liquidate, pay debts, fund treatment. Experimental stuff in Boston, chemo cocktail, trials no insurance touches. But the place. It's Mom's legacy. Feels like burying her twice." Her fork toyed with a bacon scrap, twisting it limp. Alex reached across, stilling the hand. "Then don't. Not alone anyway. I got savings, pitiful but something. And the truck? Hauls more than water. We could turn it around, deliver books or some shit. Road trip therapy." Jordan's laugh was watery, eyes glistening. "You in a bookmobile? You'd scare the rom-com crowd." But the idea sparked something, her posture straightening, color returning to cheeks. "Maybe. God, Alex, you're really in this." The question hung, vulnerable, and Alex met it square, setting her fork down with deliberate clink. "Yeah. Terrified shitless, but in it. Question is, are you? No traps, no storms, just us fighting dirty." Jordan's nod was fervent, tears spilling free now, unchecked. She rose, rounding the table to straddle Alex's lap, quilt forgotten, the chair creaking under the shift. Hands framed Alex's face, thumbs brushing jawline, and the kiss was salt-tanged, fierce with affirmation. Lips bruising, tongues claiming territory long seated. Alex's arms banded around, pulling flush, feeling the rapid thump of Jordan's heart against her own. A duet of defiance. They broke for air, foreheads abutting, breaths panting in the close space. "I'm in," Jordan vowed, voice fierce, fingers tangling in Alex's hair. "All the way. Scans tomorrow, roads passable by noon, they say. You'll drive." "Damn right." Alex's grin was wolfish, hands sliding under the tee, palms warm on bare back. But sirens wailed distant, emergency vehicles, storm's aftermath, and reality intruded, cold as the draft. Jordan stiffened, listening, then slid off, grabbing the radio from the counter, twisting the dial with urgent fingers. Static crackled, then a voice. Flooding on Route 1, structural damage to the pier. Stay indoors." Jordan's face paled, the elation draining like bathwater. "The bookstore," she breathed, horror dawning. "It's on the low end. If the pier went." Alex was on her feet, adrenaline spiking, chair scraping back. "Keys. Now." They moved as one, Jordan shrugging into jeans and boots, Alex shrugging off the hoodie for her slicker, the yellow a beacon in the gloom. Outside, the air was sodden, heavy with ozone and salt, puddles ankle deep. The world washed clean but wounded. Trees splintered, fences splintered. A neighbor's roof tile smashed on the lawn like a broken promise. The truck roared to life, engine coughing wetly, and they peeled out, tires sluicing through standing water, wipers slapping lazy now. The radio stayed on, updates grim. Power lines down, surges predicted. Jordan gripped the dash, knuckles white, silent prayers on her lips. Alex drove steady, one hand on the wheel, the other finding Jordan's knee, squeezing reassurance. The road wound through town, past shuttered shops and huddled houses, the sea visible in glimpses, frothy, furious, lapping higher than memory. The bookstore loomed at the corner of Wharf and Elm, its sign. Jordan's Pages, swinging crooked, windows intact but door ajar, water licking the stoop. They parked haphazard, boots splashing as they ran in, the bell jangling frantic. Inside, chaos. Shelves toppled like dominoes, books sodden and splayed, pages curling in the damp. The smell hit hard, paper pulp and brine, grief's perfume. Jordan froze in the threshold, a gasp ripping free, hand flying to mouth. "No!" she choked, wading through, knees buckling as she sank beside a collapsed romance section, fingers trailing a waterlogged Austen. Tears fell free, splashing darker spots on the cover. Alex knelt beside, arm around shoulders, pulling close amid the wreckage. "Hey, breathe." Her voice was rock steady, but inside fury boiled. At the storm, fate, the unfairness carving Jordan hollow. They salvaged what they could, drying books on higher shelves, stacking survivors in milk crates from the back, the work rhythmic, cathartic. Hours blurred, muscles aching, but each find, a first edition unscathed, a customer's note tucked in a margin, fueled them. By midday, the shop stood half reclaimed, a phoenix in rags. Exhausted, they collapsed on the counter, backs to the wood, legs dangling. Jordan's head lolled on Alex's shoulder, voice small. "It's not gone. Not all." "Nope." Alex kissed her temple, tasting sweat and sea. "And neither are we." Sirens faded, sun-piercing clouds in tentative shafts, gilding the mess gold. Hope fragile as wet paper but real. They rose together, hands linked, stepping into light, ready for scans, storms, whatever battered next. Love, they learned, wasn't trap or tide. It was the stubborn build after the break. The drive to Portland sliced through a landscape reborn. Puddles steaming in sudden sun, rainbows arcing over flooded fields like fragile bridges to tomorrow. Alex's truck rumbled steady, heater blasting against the damp chill. The cab a cocoon of vinyl seats and shared silence. Jordan rode shotgun, knees drawn up, fiddling with the radio dial until static gave way to indie folk. A woman's voice crooning about mended hearts and open roads. Fitting, Alex thought, glancing over. Jordan's profile etched in golden light, auburn hair drying to waves, green eyes fixed on the horizon, a quiet resolve settling her features. "You okay?" Alex asked, hand drifting to Jordan's thigh, thumb tracing denim seams. a casual anchor, but her pulse betrayed the worry thrumming beneath. Jordan covered the hand with hers, squeezing. Scared shitless. But yeah, having you here makes it bearable. Her voice held a tremor, but the smile she turned was real, crinkling the corners of her eyes. The road hummed under tires, salt air whipping through cracked windows, carrying cries of gulls and the faint brine of receding tide. The clinic loomed on the outskirts, a squat brick building with manicured lawns at odds with the wild coast, parking lot half full of sensible sedans. Alex killed the engine, the sudden quiet amplifying the knot in her stomach. They'd stopped for sandwiches on the way, turkey on rye, wax paper crinkling, mustard sharp on the tongue. But now appetite fled, replaced by the metallic tang of anticipation. Jordan unbuckled, hesitating, then leaned over, kissing Alex quick and fierce, lips firm, a promise pressed against uncertainty. "Wait here," she asked, already out, backpack slung over one shoulder, chart copies, insurance cards, a dog-eared novel for distraction. Alex nodded, gripping the wheel to still the shake. "Yell if you need backup." Watching Jordan walk away, back straight, steps measured, twisted something deep, a mother's fret in a lover's chest. The door swung shut behind her, glass reflecting Alex's face, jaw clenched, eyes shadowed. She slouched back, radio low, the singer's lament mirroring her mood. Minutes stretched to hours, marked by sips from a thermos of cooling coffee, black and bitter as doubt. Flashbacks crept in unbidden. Their first date, Jordan spilling wine on Alex's lap at that dive bar, laughter dissolving nerves. The night Jordan proposed road tripping to Key West, maps spread on the hood under stars, dreams bigger than the sky. And the end, Jordan's abrupt departure, the echo of the door slam, Alex alone with takeout growing cold. Regret soured the coffee's aftertaste, but resolve hardened it. No repeats. This time she'd stay planted. The door opened at last, Jordan emerging pale but upright, backpack lighter, a folder clutched like a shield. Alex was out in a flash, meeting her halfway, arms opening. Jordan folded into them, face buried in neck, body sagging with released tension. "It's aggressive," she mumbled against skin, voice muffled. "But the trial slot's open. Starts next week. They think hope it buys time." Alex held tighter, inhaling Jordan's scent. Antiseptic now, overlaid with that enduring lavender, hand stroking spine in soothing arcs. "Time's what we got. All of it." They stood there, oblivious to stares, the sun warming their backs, a breeze rustling leaves overhead like applause. Hope wasn't cure, but it was fuel, enough to get them home. The return trip lightened with plans, voices overlapping in excited chatter. "We'll need a calendar," Jordan said, sketching air with her finger. "Chemo days marked, good days for beach walks. And the bookstore pop-up sales? Online orders from the truck." Alex grinned, accelerating past a semi, the engine's growl underscoring her enthusiasm. "Hell yes. Alex's halls. Books and badassery. I'll paint the side myself. Stick figures reading in the rain." Laughter bubbled, free and full, chasing the clinic's shadow. They detoured through town, stopping at the hardware for supplies. Tarps for the shop roof, paint for dreams. Hands brushing in aisles, stolen kisses over cans of primer. Back at the house by dusk, the sky a bruise of purples and golds, they unloaded in companionable rhythm, bags thumping on the porch. Inside, the air held the faint must of damp books, but progress showed. Stacks drying by the radiator, a closed for storm sign flipped to reopening soon. Jordan kicked off boots, padding to the kitchen while Alex hung coats, the routine domestic, delicious. Dinner was improvised, pasta boiling, sauce simmering with garlic that perfumed the air, steam fogging windows. They ate on the porch as twilight deepened, swing creaking under them, bowls balanced on knees, stars pricking the clearing sky. Jordan's head on Alex's shoulder, fork twirling noodles, voice soft. "Remember that summer? Campfire stories, you burning marshmallows to char." Alex hummed, chewing slow, the sauce tangy on her tongue. "Iua tenha nivai," said they tasted like adventure. Her arm tightened around Jordan's waist, pulling flush. The night cooled, crickets chirping counterpoint to waves' hush, fireflies blinking like secrets. Conversation drifted deeper. Vulnerabilities bared over second helpings. I dated someone last year, Jordan admitted, setting her bowl aside, fingers lacing with Alex's. Nice guy, actually. But every kiss? Wrong. Tasted like ash. Alex's gut twisted. Jealousy a flicker quickly doused. Yeah? Well, I hooked up with a mechanic, tattoos all swagger. Lasted 2 weeks. Kept calling me dude mid, you know. She waved vaguely, earning a snort from Jordan. Idiot. Jordan turned, straddling the swing's arm. Facing Alex fully, moonlight silvering her skin. No one's you. The kiss ignited slow, building to blaze. Hands roaming, bowls clattering to the boards forgotten. They migrated inside, trail of clothes marking the path. Shirt on the banister, jeans pooled at the stairs base. Bedroom shadows welcomed them. Sheets rumpled from before. The air thick with anticipation. This time lovemaking was unhurried, exploratory. Alex mapping Jordan's body with lips and tongue, drawing gasps like melodies, savoring each arch and whimper. Jordan reciprocated, fingers deft, mouth hot, whispers of here and yes guiding like lighthouses. Climax crested gentle, waves lapping rather than crashing, leaving them breathless, entwined, skin cooling in the night draft. Sleep came easy, Jordan's snores soft against Alex's back, spooned close. But dawn brought intrusion. A knock at the door, insistent, pulling Alex from dreams of endless coasts. Downstairs, bleary-eyed, she opened to a neighbor, Mrs. Hargrove, silver hair in curlers, face etched worry. Jordan? The bank's calling. Foreclosure notice on the store. Storm damage claim denied. Act of God, they say. The words landed like punches, Alex's hand gripping the jam white-knuckled. Upstairs, Jordan stirred, voice calling sleep-thick. Alex? Whose? She appeared at the landing, robe belted loose, face draining as Mrs. Hargrove explained, pamphlets thrust forward. I'm so sorry, dear. Community's rallying, bake sale next week, but this. Jordan descended, taking the papers with numb fingers, scanning the legalese that blurred through rising tears. Act of God, she echoed bitterly, crumpling the edge. More like act of assholes. Mrs. Hargrove patted her arm, awkward comfort, before retreating, door clicking shut like a period. Silence descended, heavy as the notice in Jordan's fist. Alex crossed, pulling her into the foyer, arms a bulwark. We'll fight it, she growled, chin on Jordan's crown. Lawyers, petitions, whatever. That store's yours, ours now. Jordan pulled back, eyes fierce through tears. It's not just money. It's everything unraveling. Sobs broke free, raw and wrenching, body shaking in Alex's hold. They sank to the floor, backs to the wall, Jordan curled fetal in Alex's lap, cries echoing off high ceilings. Alex rocked her, murmuring nonsense. Sure, I've got you, we'll fix this. Tears pricking her own eyes, hot and helpless. The clock ticked merciless, marking loss, but in the grief's grip, resolve forged stronger. They'd claw back every inch together. Sun climbed higher, gilding the mess, a promise of battles ahead. Love, Alex realized, wasn't smooth shores, it was the fight through the flood. Weeks blurred into a frenzy of defiance, the house a war room of clipboards and coffee rings, the air perpetually scented with ink and determination. Alex had taken leave from deliveries, truck parked, for now a mobile office stacked with files, while Jordan juggled scans and shop salvage, her frame thinning but spirit unbowed. The bank's notice loomed like a guillotine, but they countered with a barrage. Petitions circulated door to door, signatures inked with ballpoints and ballpark figures of support. A lawyer from Portland, pro bono through a queer advocacy network, poring over clauses by firelight, his gravel voice promising loopholes. Morning started early, Alex brewing pot strong enough to strip paint. The gurgle a wake-up call as Jordan emerged from chemo fog. Hair shedding in soft tufts, she swept away with stoic swipes, refusing wigs with a grin. If I'm going bald, might as well rock the pirate look. Breakfasts were fuel. Oatmeal lumped with berries, spoons clinking against bowls, talk of tactics over toast crumbs. The bake sale raised $200, Alex reported one dawn, newspaper spread like a battle map, ink smudging her fingers. Mrs. Hargrove's scones were the hit, dry as sin, but folks ate 'em up. Jordan laughed, wincing as she swallowed. The 4-port under her collarbone a hidden badge. Bless her. Next the auction, your idea by the way. Donated art from local queers, stories tied to each piece. Could pull $1,000. Afternoons bled into community chaos. The bookstore reborn as hub, tarped roof groaning under repairs. Alex hammered herself, nails biting wood with satisfying thwacks, sweat stinging eyes. Neighbors trickled in, fishermen with calloused hands offering lumber, artists with canvases vibrant as rebellion, turning wreckage to rally. Jordan manned the register, voice hoarse but hearty, hawking storm survivor specials. Damp paperbacks at half price, each sale a story shared. This one's about lost loves finding harbor, she'd say, green eyes locking on Alex across the room, the words a coded vow. Evenings were sanctuary, the porch swing their throne, sunset painting the sea in fire. They'd unwind with beers cracked cold, fizz hissing foam spilling over knuckles, tastes of hops and salt mingling on shared sips from one bottle, lips brushing glass rims. Jordan leaned into Alex, head on chest, listening to heartbeat's steady thrum, a rhythm that drowned the distant waves. Heard from the trial today, she'd murmur some nights, fingers tracing Alex's arm tattoos, faded anchors and roses, inked in a haze of youth, tumor shrinking, not gone but progress. Alex's arm tightened, pride swelling like tide. Knew it. You're a fighter, always were. Kisses followed, lazy at first, escalating to heat that fogged windows. Hands under shirts, breaths hitching, the swing creaking protest as they shifted. Upstairs, lovemaking adapted. Gentler when fatigue won, Jordan guiding Alex's touches with whispered maps. Fiercer on strong days, nails raking backs, cries echoing off rafters like triumphs. But cracks showed. A bad scan, numbers climbing, Jordan retching over the toilet while Alex held hair, cool cloth to brow, whispers of easy love, I've got you. Or the bank's second notice, red stamped final arriving mid-auction, bids halting as Jordan read aloud, voice cracking, crowd murmuring support that felt like echoes. Alex snatched the envelope, tearing it to confetti, scattering it like curses. Fuck them. We're not done. The climax crested on a crisp November eve, auction night crammed into the bookstore's belly. Fairy lights strung hasty, air buzzing with chatter and cheap wine poured from boxes. Locals packed shoulder to shoulder. Lesbians from the bar with rainbow pins, straight allies toting casseroles, even the banker who'd penned the notices, roped in by guilt or gossip. Alex emceed from a milk crate, voice booming over the din. Next up, Tides of Us, oil on canvas by Mia, depicts 2 women weathering the literal storm, starts at 50. Bids flew, paddles waving like flags, laughter punctuating the frenzy. Jordan circulated, tray balanced, cheeks flushed despite the chill seeping through cracks, bald head wrapped in a bandana, pirate fierce. She caught Alex's eye midlot, mouthing love you, the words a lifeline across the throng. By night's end, crates overflowed with cash. $3,000 tallied on a napkin, tear-streaked, enough to stall foreclosure, fund another round. Cheers erupted, hugs crushing, but Alex and Jordan slipped out back, into the alley's hush, backs to brick, breaths fogging in the cold. You did this, Jordan said, turning, hands framing Alex's face, thumbs stroking cheekbones. Tears glittered, not grief but glory. Pulled us from the wreck. Alex shook her head, pulling her close, noses bumping. We did. Team trap setters. The kiss was salt-laced, triumphant. Deep and devouring, bodies pressing urgent against the wall. The crowd's roar fading to white noise. Months unspooled after. Treatments whittled the tumor to shadow. Scans clean enough for cautious toasts with ginger ale. Bubbles tickling noses. The bookstore thrived, hybrid now, physical shelves bolstered by Alex's delivery runs. Crates of bestsellers bouncing over backroads. Her truck side emblazoned, pages on wheels. Stories that stick. Jordan's hair sprouted silvershot, a crown she wore proud, and they adopted rituals. Weekly bonfires on the beach, flames crackling as they burned old letters, ashes scattering on wind. Lazy Sundays in bed, sheets tangled, coffee cooling on the sill. One spring dawn, waves lapping gentle, Alex knelt on the sand. Ring simple, silver with ocean blue stone, voice steady over the surf's hush. No traps this time. Just forever. Marry me. Jordan's yes was a sob laugh, tackle hug toppling them into surf, salt-soaking clothes joy bubbling free. The wedding was small, porch vows under Maine pines, friends toasting with lobster rolls and tears, rings exchanged with hands that bore the scars of storms weathered. Years later on anniversary eve storm clouds gathered again, thunder grumbling distant, rain threatening. They sat swing-bound, older now, lines etched deeper, but holds no less tight, Jordan's head on Alex's lap, fingers laced. Think we'd survive another? Jordan teased, green eyes twinkling. Alex grinned, bending for a kiss, tasting eternity. Babe, we'd rewrite the forecast. Lightning flashed, but no trap this time. Just thunder, applause for the life they'd built, unbreakable as the tide.